Yeah, it came up on my
Yeah.
screen. Okay. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a recap of what we covered last lesson. So on the whole tones and the semitones, and the white keys and the black keys. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Oh, sorry, a second. Okay, so Bismillah. Right, I hope everyone can see that. Okay, so let's start. So on a piano or a keyboard, we have 7 natural notes, okay, which are the white keys. So if you can see my arrow pointing to the white keys, these are known as natural notes. And then you have these black keys, which are known as half tones, and they are called sharps or flats. So the hashtag here that you can see, that's known as a sharp, and that little B symbol, that's known as a flat. Right, I found a virtual piano online. So when I go through the different examples, I'm going to use the virtual piano, which I should have used earlier, which will really help you understand the concepts much better. Inshallah, once I buy a stand for my keyboard, I can use my keyboard directly once I figure out a good position for it. Right, so let me just open up the virtual piano. It's going to be a bit difficult because I'm going to be using my mouse. Okay. Right. So I spoke about intervals last lesson, so I'm going to explain that a little bit more. An interval is a distance. Now, the distance between any 2 successive keys is a semitone. Okay, so if we go back to the diagram, let's take the C key here as an example. The distance between this C key and this black key here, which is known as the C sharp, is the distance of a semitone. Now, what do I mean by that? If I wanted to raise my C key, the sound or the pitch of my C key by a semitone or half a tone, I would move on to my C sharp. And I'm going to show you an example on the keyboard. So this is how the C key sounds like. Oh wait, can you hear that? Oh no. Okay, right? Now, if I wanted to raise my C key by a semitone, it would sound like this. Okay, so that was my C sharp. So the distance or the interval between any 2 successive keys is a semitone. So the distance between this C and this black key, which is known as the C sharp, is a semitone. The distance between this black key, the C sharp, between this key, the D, is a semitone. So how would we make a whole tone? If we add 2 semitones together, it would make a whole tone. So the distance between this C key and this D key is the distance of a whole tone. So when we do our vocal exercises, if you remember the sets that we have, the 131, 151, essentially what we're looking for is the first note. So if I started off with the C key here, the third note will be the third whole tone. So let's just show you an example. If C was my first note, C sharp will be a tone. D will be the second whole note, half note, plus another half note. That will make a whole note. So the third whole note is E. So when we do 1-3-1 with the lip trill here, okay, on C, the keys that we're sounding out is C, E, C, C, E, C, and it sounds like this on a piano. Okay, right. Now that I've explained the whole tones and the semitones, I'm going to show you a diagram, which I thought was quite good, on the whole tones and semitones and how to identify them. So if you can see here, the distance between C and D is a whole tone. The distance between D and E is a whole tone. Now, remember, the distance between two successive keys, so a key which comes immediately after or before a key, is the distance of a semitone. So the distance between E and F is a semitone. Now, all of this will make much more sense. The reason why I'm explaining whole tones and semitones is when we move on to scales, and when we look at our piece, the Salli Rabbi piece, all of this will make much more sense. And it's quite important as well to understand this for the purpose of our singing. Okay, so this is a diagram showing you the whole tones and the semitones. Right. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do a little exercise. So I'm going to give you a note and I want you to tell me what the third note is. Okay, so you can type it in the chat box. So remember, we're looking for the third whole tone. Okay, so let me give you the diagram again of the piano. And I'll also put it here on display. So I think I need a text box. Here it is. Okay. So 1-3-1. I'm going to give you the first note and I want you to tell me what the third note is. Okay, third whole note or third whole tone. So if let's start off with an easy example. Okay, so if I gave you C, right. Yeah, what would my third note be?
E.
Excellent, well done. Well done, Zainab. Mashallah. Yes, our third note will be the E key. Okay, and then we go back to our first note. So just to show you again, this is our first note. We're going to go up a semitone and then up another semitone. So 2 semitones make a whole tone, so that's our second note. Up another semitone and then up another semitone again. 2 semitones make a whole tone, so our third note is E. Excellent. Okay, let me give you another note. What about, let's go one. Okay, what about the note, Okay, let's do D. What would our third note be? Yes, Zainab. 1 second.
F.
Right, so close. Let's look at the diagram again, the piano diagram. So if our first note was D, okay, we're going to go up a semitone, D sharp, then up a semitone again, E. 2 semitones make a whole note. So our second note is E. Now, remember the distance or interval between 2 successive keys. So the key immediately after or immediately before is a semitone. So up a semitone is F. Up another semitone, 2 semitones make a whole note, F sharp. Okay, so you were close, Zainab, mashallah. So our third note is F sharp. Now I'll just play that on the keyboard. This is how it sounds. Okay, so E, F sharp, E. Yeah? Okay, good. Right. Now, the next thing I'm going to explain is the octave. The octave, yes, Zainab.
That was by accident.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll just, okay. Now, the octave is the range between 2 musical notes of the same letter. But remember, these 2 notes, even though they carry the same letter, they don't sound the same. The next note, so the second note, is double the frequency of the first note. So it has, you can say, double the pitch of the first note. So what do I mean by that? If we look at the piano diagram again, the octave of this C key would be the next C key here. So the range of notes between this C and this C is called the octave, okay? So within this octave, you have all of these notes. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, a scale is a selection of notes within an octave. And it can begin with any key. So I showed you an example with the C key, but I can begin with any key, okay? I can begin with D to the next D, okay? So that's an example of another key. I can use E to the next E, okay? So a scale is a selection of notes within an octave. Now, the reason why this is important to understand is because we're going to now look at something called a major scale and a minor scale. Now, what do I mean by that? A major scale and a minor scale, okay, are again a selection of notes, and they have 2 different patterns. These patterns are important to be able to identify the notes, and this is where the whole tones and the semitones become important. The pattern for a major scale is, I'm just going to put it here. So the pattern for a major scale is a whole tone, semitone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, semitone. And I'll explain that with an example as well. So let me just put it on the right text box. So here. Okay. So it's on the pattern of a whole tone, semitone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, semitone. Now, any key can have a major or minor scale. So, for example, my C here, okay, it can have a major scale and it can have a minor scale. C major scale, C minor scale. My D here, it can have a major scale, it can have a minor scale. And we use this pattern here to identify the notes. So let's look at the example of a C major scale. I'm beginning with the C major scale only because it's usually it's the easiest to understand, and also it's related to our Salli Rabbi piece. Okay, so the C major scale, if we use the pattern that I've just showed you here above, whole tone, semitone, 3 whole tones and semitone. Let's start with C, which is our root key. What would the next whole tone be? Sorry, I think you're on mute. Right. Yes, Zainab?
I was just trying to think.
So remember, the distance between 2 immediate keys is a semitone. 2 semitones will make a whole tone. Okay. So let's do it together then. The distance between C and this black key, C sharp, is a semitone. We're going to move up another semitone to make a whole tone. What's the next key? It's D, okay? So our next note on our C major scale is D. Okay, so we have whole tone, whole tone. Yes, Zainab.
Can a key be semitone and whole tone?
Good, yes. A key can be a semitone or a whole tone, depending on which key you start off with. Yeah, so for example, here, let's look at this example here between E and F. The distance between E and F, although they're both white keys, is a distance of a semitone. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to the next, next note. Following the same pattern again. Okay, so we've done whole tone, whole tone. Our next key is a whole tone. So what would be the next whole tone after the D key? So if I started off with the D.
E.
Yes. E, excellent, Maria. Excellent, well done, okay. So the next, so remember C is our root key. So the next whole tone was D, and then our next whole tone is E. Good. Now, on the pattern of major scale, the next note is the next note is a semitone apart. Okay. So from E, can you identify the note which is a semitone apart from E? Sorry, there's a lot of noise.
Is it the
Semitone.
sharp?
Is it the? Let me have a look. Okay, so remember, we're on our E key and we're going to go up a semitone.
F sharp?
Nearly. Okay, let's have a look. So E is our key. We want to go up a semitone. So remember, the distance between this E and the next key is a semitone. So our next key is an F. Okay, now we move on to the whole tone. So tone, tone, semitone, whole tone. So can you identify the note which is a whole tone apart from the F key? So we're here. Yes, Zainab.
G?
Excellent. Well done, mashallah. Okay, it's G. Half a semitone. So if I wanted to raise my F, again, this is related to your question, Zainab. If I, which I explained in the beginning, but I think you came in slightly after. But if I wanted to raise my F key by half or by a semitone, it would be the F sharp. So this is how it would sound. This is F. And if I wanted to raise that by a semitone, it would sound like this, the F sharp. Okay, right. So we found our G. Now we want another whole tone. So can you identify the note which is a whole tone apart from the G key? So we're here. The G. Is anyone messaging? Okay, so I'll give you the answer. If I raise my G key by a semitone, it will be the G sharp, this black key. If I raise it by another semitone, two semitones make a whole tone, it will be A. So A is a whole tone apart from the G. So my next key is an A. Okay, and then we want another whole tone. So the note which is a whole tone apart from my A. So what is the next note which is a whole tone apart from my A? Zainab?
Is it C?
Okay, try again. So we're here, this is our A key. So if I raise my A by a semitone, which key would it fall on?
B?
Okay,
A sharp.
A sharp, excellent. Okay, A sharp. Now, if I wanted to raise my A sharp by another semitone, which key would it fall on?
B.
B, excellent. So two semitones make a whole tone. The distance or the interval between my A and my B is a whole tone apart. So I've just figured out my note, which is a whole tone apart from my A. So the next note is B. Good. And my last key, which is a semitone apart from my B, which will be?
C.
C, excellent. You have just given me the notes for the C major scale, mashallah. Okay, and this is how it sounds on a keyboard. Right. So. Okay. Now this becomes important later on as well when we look at our Salli Rabbi piece. Okay, but before I go into that, I spoke about another scale, which was called the minor scale. Okay, again, a scale is just a range of notes within an octave for now. So the minor scale also has a pattern to be able to identify the notes of any scale. Okay, so remember, any key can have a major or minor scale. So we can have an A major, A minor, we can have a B major, a B minor. So you know when you hear about people playing or singing a piece on a C major scale or an A major scale, this is what it is. They use these selection of notes. Okay, so the pattern for the minor scale is okay, all right. The pattern for the minor scale is slightly different to the major scale, but I'll give you a hint. The only difference between the major and the minor is to do with the thirds, meaning the third notes of the scale. And another difference between the major and minor scale is the more, you'll notice the more happy or the cheery pieces that you hear or you sing is usually on a major scale, and the more melancholic, moody pieces that you hear is usually on a minor scale. So they use a selection of notes on this pattern, which is a whole tone, semitone, whole tone, whole tone, semitone, whole tone, whole tone. Okay, so since we identified the notes of a C major scale, let's look at the C minor scale. Okay, so our root key again is the C. Right, so the first note we need to identify is a whole tone apart from our C key. So what would it be? Say no.
D.
Excellent. Okay. So the D key is a whole tone apart from our C key. Now the next key we need to identify is a semitone apart from our D key. What will it be? So someone's on. Maria, B? Okay, remember, so we're progressing up the piano. Okay, so we are looking for the note which is a semitone apart from the D. So this is our D here. Yes, Zainab?
Is it D sharp?
Is it, good, okay. So the next key, which is a semitone apart from our D, is this black key here. Now you are correct, Zainab, in calling this a D sharp, but on a minor scale, this black key is usually referred to as the E flat. So you'll notice that there are actually two terms for these black keys. They're either called sharps or flats, depending on the scale. So in the minor scale, these black keys are usually referred to as flats. Okay, so if you notice here, on this E key, they have that little B sign, which is called the flat. So this black key is a semitone apart from our D. And on the minor scale, we call this black key the E flat. Okay, but you were correct in calling it the D sharp. It's called the D sharp as well. Okay, so E flat, good. Now we are going to identify next note, which is a whole tone apart from our E flat. So Maria, do you want to give it a go? And who else do we have? Let's see. So I want to hear from everyone. We have 4 participants. Okay, 1 second. Oh. Okay, that's fine. So what we'll do is, anyone else would like to have a go? Yes, Zainab.
Is it F?
So let's go back. Excellent, well done. So the F key here is a whole tone apart from our E flat. Well done. Okay, so the next key where were we? So semitone F. Yeah. Okay, yes. So the next one is another whole tone. Okay, so now we want the next key, which is a whole tone apart from our F. So we're here, E flat. So what would our next note be? Where's my Zoom? Okay. Did Zainab? Yes, go on, Zainab. So I think you're on mute. 1 second. Oh.
I
Yes,
can't see
go on,
the
Zainab.
screen. Can I leave and come back to see if I can see a screen? I can't see it.
Oh, you can't see the screen. Oh,
The
1
color
second.
of
It might be me. Sorry, 1 second. Is that better? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So we're on F and we're looking for the next note, which is a whole tone apart from our F. So shall we move up? So semitone. Yes, Maria. Sorry, I can't seem to hear you, Maria, for some reason. Oh, wait, no, it's unmuted. Yes, Maria. Don't know what's wrong with the sound. Is that me? Okay, let me just check the chat. G flat. Okay, let's have a look. So we're on our F key and we want to find the note which is a whole tone apart from our F key. So 2 semitones apart. So do you want to try again? Okay, let's do it together. We have our F key here. The key which is a semitone apart from our F is this black key here. Yes? Now, if I move up another semitone, it would be our G. So our G is 2 semitones, a whole tone apart from our F. So our next key is a G, right? Then what we want is a semitone now. So which key is a semitone apart from our G? I want you to remember what I said about the minor scale, that we usually refer to the black keys as flats. Yes, Zainab.
Is it A flat?
Excellent, well done, mashallah. Okay, A flat. Okay, now what would the key be, which is a whole tone apart from our A flat? This one might be a little
B flat. 1, 2, B flat.
excellent. B flat, and then Our last key.
Is that semitone?
So it's a whole tone. Usually our last key is the scale that we're working with.
Is it C?
Excellent, C. So you all just gave me the notes for the C minor scale, and this is how it sounds on a keyboard. So notice the difference between the major and the minor. So I'll play the major. So let me play the C minor scale first. So remember, we've got 3 flats, which are the E flats. A flat, E flat. Okay. So this is how the C minor scale sounds. And I just want you to listen to it and how it makes you feel. So. Okay, compared to the C major scale. Yeah? Okay, did you notice how the minor scale sounded so much more melancholic? Okay, so let's play it one more time. Okay, right. Good, so we've just looked at major and minor scales. Now, all of this is going to make sense when we look at our piece for Salli Rabbi. So if you remember when we did it, I printed out the lyrics for you, yes? And just above the lyrics, you have the notes for the Salli Rabbi. I want everyone to just take that sheet music out. Usually on a piano you have the stand there and you can place the sheet music there, but I don't. So I'm going to just see what I can do here. Okay. Right, now I'm going to play the notes of Salli Rabbi to you. So this is how the tune sounds like, just for us to recall the tune as well as to understand the scales. Zainab, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, I don't I don't have my Salli Rabbi sheet with me.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. As long as what I'll do is I'll read the notes out to you anyway. So it's fine, don't worry. Okay. Now, the Salli Rabbi piece, so the Muslim anthem, is actually played on a C major scale. What does that mean? That means the notes that we just identified for the C major scale, the range of notes, yeah, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, those selection of notes, okay, in different orders, are used to used for the tune of Salli Rabb. Now, read out the notes to you, and you'll notice that for yourself. So the notes are so C, C, D, E, C, E, F, G, G, A, B, G, A, B, C, G, A, G, C, 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 B, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, C, G, E, F, D, C. Do you notice how all the notes that I mentioned were in the scale of the C major scale, okay, from C to the next C. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the note to you It's going to be a bit tricky, and also because I'm going to be using an online keyboard, the rest intervals will sound terrible, but please bear with me. You know, when I was a teacher at a secondary school, I noticed that my students, the fewer resources they had, the more creative they became. So we'll make do with what we have so far. Right, so this is how it sounds. So I'm going to play the tune Salli Rabbi. Now the Salli Rabbi chorus, the stanzas of each stanza of the song is exactly the same. And also the Persian poem that I spoke about last week. So E Ashegan is also on this same scale, and you'll notice we'll play all three parts separately with the piano, and you'll notice that they're all on the same scale. Okay, right. So. Okay, right. So that they were the notes for the Salli Rabbi anthem. It's the Muslim anthem, and it's a fairly simple piece. It's really nice and simple. The notes are really simple. I think the reason why is because it's a Muslim anthem, so it's something that everyone can sing together, come together, and be able to just sing along together. So it's on like a fairly simple scale, and it's not too complicated either. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we have about 15 minutes. We're going to sing Salli Rabbi chorus. Then we're going to do just the first stanza of the Muslim anthem. So, Oh Allah to us ever dear. It's just that stanza. And then we're going to move on to the first two lines of E Ashegan. Okay, so I'm going to bring out the lyrics here. E Ashegan. Before we begin, let's just go through the pronunciation of E Ashegan. Then I'm going to play the song again, inshallah. I think I uploaded no, I didn't upload it here in the chat box, but I uploaded it on the, actually I emailed the admin, uploaded it on the Google Drive folder. So the pronunciation is like this. E عاشقان هنگام کوچ از جهان در گوش جانم میرسد طبل راحیل از آسمان. Okay, right. So I want you to now sing the chorus of Salli Rabbi. Then we're going to do the first stanza of the Muslim anthem, and then we're going to move on to these two lines, and you'll notice that they're all on the same tune. Okay, so starting with Salli Rabbi. Yeah, so I just lost my notes. Okay. I didn't seem to, just so you could hear the notes. Now let's look at the first stanza, everyone. Oh Allah, to us ever dear. Okay, now Ashe gone. Okay, I should remember the lyrics. Okay, so okay. So, did everyone hear the notes?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So if you notice, it's completely the same. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad's Salli Rabbi with A Ashegan. So I think I had to. Okay, so I actually have it saved on it. Let me mute this first. Okay, so
ای عاشقان ای عاشقان هنگام کوچ است از جهان در گوش جانم میرسد طبل رحیل از آسمان.
Okay. So shall we try that? Yeah, so would you like to unmute yourselves? So I'll just unmute you. Unmute. Okay, so correct. So I'll play it again. I want you to try and sing along. Okay, so let's start. 1, 2.
ای عاشقان ای عاشقان هنگام کوچ است از جهان در گوش جانم میرسد طبل رحیل از آسمان.
Okay, right. The next part we're going to move on to is Salli Rabbi. Everyone is familiar with that, so sing along.
صلي ربي على النبي الهاشم المطلب صاحب أصفى النسب وآله وصحبه نگذاربان برخسته قطاره ها آرسته.
Okay, let's go back. This is actually one of my favorite parts. This part, and I'll show you.
برخسته نگذاربان برخسته قطاره ها آرسته از ماه لالی هسته چه خفته ایر ای کاروان.
Okay. Now the reason why this poem fits so nicely with the tune is you'll notice that the syllables are exactly the same for Salli Rabbi and the stanzas in the Muslim anthem. So what Shaykh Abdul Hakim Murad does is he actually adds in syllables by elongating a sound, elongating a word. So for example here, Neksarebahan, that adds another syllable. Neksarebahan, Barkhaste, 8 syllables. Yes, and you'll notice as well with Salli Rabbi, Nabi, Al-Hashimi Mutalibi. Okay, so 8 syllables. Again, really nice and simple. Try and count the syllables, which might help you with the tune as well. So let's finish with this.
لربي على النبي الهاشمي المطلب صاحب أصفى نسبي وآله وصحبه این بانگه ها از پیش و پس بانگه راهی نوست و جراست هر لحظه نفس و نفس سر می کند در دام کان صلی ربی علی النبی الهاشمي المطلب صاحب أصفى النسب وآله وصحبه ای دل سوی دلدار شو ای یار سوی یار شو ای پاسبان بیدار شو خفته نشاید پاسبان صلی ربی علی النبی الهاشمی المطلب صاحب اصفى النسب وآله وصحبه.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll also upload this link on the chat box here so you have immediate access to it. Now, I'm also going to send you another link for a vocal warm-up. I found this, so I'm really glad I actually found this. It's a 5-minute vocal warm-up, so you can actually use this to practice your vocal warm-ups daily. I know the vocal warm-ups that we usually do are quite lengthy, but this is just a 5-minute vocal warm-up, which you can do in your own time at your own pace. And it's only, again, 5 minutes. So I'm going to send you a link to that as well. So let me just find the chat box. So this is the link to Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad's rendition of A.R. Shegan with Salli Rabbi. And this is the link. I actually wanted to do this today as well, focus on 2 of the vocal warm-ups in this exercise. It's called a 5-minute vocal warm-up. Let me send you this link. No. Okay, right, I am conscious of the time. Okay, so, excuse me. So that's the 5-minute vocal warm-up YouTube link. You can use this, again, in your own time. It's a really good vocal warm-up video. So that's that. Now, there was another part to this lesson. Unfortunately, we have, we're slightly short of time, but since we're covering a Farsi poem, I actually wanted to speak a little bit about the history of Farsi and its interaction with other languages, namely Bangla. I'm actually, I'm yet to come across a Bengali student at Fatima Elizabeth. And so I thought I'd share a little bit of my history as I'm Bangladeshi Bengali. We actually have a very rich history with Farsi, including Arabic and Urdu. You know, in Dhaka, which is the capital state of Bangladesh, there is um, an area there which was a historic city called Puran Dhaka, Old Dhaka, and it was founded as Jahangirnagar, and so that was the former name during Mughal rule, and it was the capital at the time of Bengal under Mughal rule. There, they actually, and they still do, they speak a dialect called Dhakaya Urdu, okay, which was spoken by the Nawab family of Dhaka, which who I'll speak about as well, inshallah, later on. It differs from the standard Urdu in that it's closer to Bangla with more use of Bangla words, and the dialect obviously is slightly different. But back to Farsi. Inshallah, next lesson, I will be speaking about the interaction of Farsi with Bengali and look at the history of Bangladesh a little bit more. Okay, so we've come to the end of the lesson. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, girls, for participating in the lesson today. If you do have any questions, any outstanding questions, do post them or pass them on to Ustad Zainab or Ustad Talha. I think he's here today. Inshallah, I'll get back to you on those questions. And we have come to the end of the lesson. وأقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. آمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Enjoy the rest of the day.